Chris, I don't want to start with but back-to-back defeats, and you've spoken a bit about wanting to sort of change the players' mindset or worrying about the players' mindset. How have you been addressing that on the training ground?
By just reviewing the games, which is difficult because the games come round thick and fast. We've obviously had the extra day going into the Swansea match, so it's just reviewing the games with the staff. Speaking to the players, some individually, and just where we can do better. And probably, if I looked at the two games, I thought we had some really good chances at Barnsley, and Barnsley was a game that I felt that we should have come away with something different at Bournemouth. Up against a really good side, and when you're up against that quality of team, the last thing you need is to be 1-0 down so early in the game. So it's just addressing these points. And the one thing about our game is it's very quickly an opportunity will come to change that. And of course the next opportunity we have is of course Sunday.
How important is that you're not allowed, you haven't got the time really in the Championship to dwell on what's gone, you've just got to get on with the next game and focus on that?
Well, it is what it is, and generally, the feel is that when you don't win a game, you want the next one to come as quick as possible, and of course, when you win, then it's nice to have that period of time of the players could get that nice feel again of winning football matches, but it is what it is, and it's exactly the same for every team, and it's just really getting used to a game mindset, where the next game is coming quick, and it's about performing in games, and we need to get back on winning ways.
I know we spoke when you first arrived, Chris, you talked about the challenges that you knew were coming up with regard to the size of the squad, the number of new additions, and sort of imposing how you want that team to play. Has it been more challenging than you expected, or is this about how tough you thought it might be?
No, this is how tough I thought it would be, but that's the same for everybody, and these are the great challenges. I came in, of course, not at the start of the season, so it's about implementing a way that I wanted to play, getting to know the players. What we have got is we've got players that are on their way back. So certainly that squad's looking a little bit healthier. Again, it was always determining, the balance of the players that I've got and in the positions. And it's always going to be a work in progress. And what you hope happens in that is that you are picking up good enough results. And there are parts of what we've done that I've been happy with. But ultimately, we want to continue, or we want to be able to pick up as many points as possible. And that means that probably we need to have given more in some games and for that to happen.
You've talked about players coming back and the team looking a bit stronger going forward. Are there any players in particular that you'd be pleased to see back in contention? Well,
it's how close they are, but obviously the longer term, Joe Worrell's back training today, and Tyler Blackett training today. Samba Soul, that's obviously a shorter period of time he's training, and the first sort of steps for Michael Dawson and Lewis Graben training today. So good to have them back on the training pitch. Of course, for some, they've been out a bit longer than others, so it's going to take a little while. But I think just the feel of getting them on the training pitch, and the feel for that group, because I've got no doubts once everybody is fit and available, it's a strong group, and it's just trying to determine their strengths and the ability to pick up points.
And they're senior players, and they'll play a role on and off the pitch, won't they, when they're back in contention and back around the team.
They're the senior players and good players, and players that have been around for a while. So I think that's always a nice plus for the group. The more players that you have fit, I think particularly with the amount of games that we have, the healthier it is. Sometimes it causes you a few more problems, but that's about the balance. But certainly good to see them back on the training pitch.
And how important will that competition be going forward if players obviously want to put in the best performance, but if they're aware that there's somebody knocking on the door wanting that shirt, how important is that going to be from a management point of view?
Competition is vital. I think one for the players' ability to do the best that they can to keep that place, but also because the amount of games that we've got, and it's almost getting impossible to, if I'm looking at my time so far, we have had a few players that have played in every game. But even going forward into the months going forward, that certainly becomes more difficult. So you want as many, it can cause you some headaches, but you want as many players available as possible and have to make them tough decisions.
When you've talked about sort of the challenges of fixtures in the Championship, the next few fixtures going forward, I think it's the next 5 games against teams that are in the top 8. It's not going to make or break the season, but it's going to be a definite marker, isn't it?
Yes, and this is something we knew. I think when the fixture lists come out, then you look through the months as such. So taking the job, I always knew this period was coming up. But even I must admit, even going to Bournemouth, who I think are a very, very strong team, and we knew that, and probably would be certainly one of the big favourites to go straight back up again. But it was a good feeling going into that game, and I think when you're playing the likes of the quality that we're up against, that's a different challenge. But I think it's one that the players look forward to. But what we found, of course, is that you've got to be able to raise your game, and what you can't afford to do is do what we did at Bournemouth, and to be down 1-0 down before the game's almost even started. So there is that challenge against the big teams, but I think it's one to look forward to more than to fear.
And finally, for me, obviously, the changes in the tier system. Some football clubs have got fans back in. Sadly, not the case here at Forest because we're still in tier 3. How much of a miss has that been for you as the manager? How much that affected the players?
But I think the effect that it's had on the players, I think it's for every club. So at least you're on a level playing field that way. It has been different, I think from a manager's point of view. I think once the game starts, the focus is still exactly the same on that 90 odd minutes. The difference is the bits before the game, arriving at a stadium with the supporters in the car park and so on. Of course, the biggest miss in the stadium. So I think it's great news. I think going forward, I think we hope it can get better. The most important thing is always the health of people, of course, and making sure that all the appropriate action is taken. I do think it is unfair on those clubs that are in tiers that won't be able to have any supporters, and that's probably surprised me a little bit, because it certainly will affect ourselves and some other clubs. But as regards supporters coming back, then I think it's a very positive sign.
I think that's an inevitable advantage then for the teams that can have some support inside the stadium somehow.
Well, I think it has to be. I think what we have done, we've spoken about, how much we've missed, the support. I think what we've seen, not just in this division. I think throughout the divisions and certainly in the Premier League, I think the difference in results, and the variance in results of home and away. So I think we've all accepted that that it has made a difference, and there are advantages of having supporters there. So that being the case, yes, it's something that I do think is unfair.